Okay, so today we will I'll just explain you one problem, how to calculate the lateral stiffness of a shear wall. Okay. So in the last class, what I was explaining you is when you do the analysis becomes complete when you calculate the drift. Okay, the drift in the sense it is the lateral deflection. Okay, it is a lateral deflection. So every building or every structural system, when it is subjected to lateral load, will have a lateral drift. Okay, or there is a lateral deflection. Even in your IS 1893 also says what should be the maximum deflection, lateral deflection that is possible depending upon the height of the building. So every structural system, whether it is a shear wall or a coupled shear wall or a tubular structure or infilled frame, rigid frame, braced frame, every structure will be subjected to some lateral deflection because of the lateral load that is coming on the structure. Okay, so in the last class I was just explaining you for every rigid frame, braced frame, infilled frames, etc. How do you calculate the there's a big relations formula, it is given there. Okay, how to calculate the delta due to flexure, delta due to shear, because the major predominant mode of deflections are flexure and shear. Okay, the flexure means there will be the slope at the base, it will be 0, and there will be maximum slope at the top, whereas in shear mode of deflection you have the maximum deflection is at the bottom, and at the top it will be the slope is 0. So that is what the shear and deflection mode. Okay, in both the cases, the maximum deflection will be in case of flexure, and shear mode of deflection will be less. But usually we take a combined mode of flexure and shear. Okay, or altogether we take the total lateral drift. So that's what for the different types of structural system. Last class I was just explaining you. I was just going through that load. So you can just go through the lecture notes and see how the lateral deflections are calculated for every type of structural system. Okay, so one the important one usually we need to really understand that it is for the shear wall. Okay, so I'll just explain you with the one example that is already worked out there. Is for a shear wall, how do you calculate the lateral stiffness, or the lateral stiffness and the drift or the lateral deflection? Okay, so here the question is calculate the lateral stiffness. What do you mean by stiffness? Stiffness is nothing but it is the ability to deflect, or it is a resistance for a deflection. It is a resistance for a deflection. Load by deflection will give you the stiffness, or moment by rotation will give you the stiffness. Okay, the resistance of a building to deflect, okay, for a particular load. Okay, that is a load by deflection will give you the stiffness, or it can be the moment by rotation. Okay, so that is what the meaning of stiffness. So here calculate the lateral stiffness of the wall for a point load at the top. As the first case, assuming the wall is the shear wall in the sense here the shear wall, assuming the wall is rigid. Second is assume the wall is supported by an 8 meter by 4 meter footing resting on soil with a modulus of subgrade reaction 30,000 kilonewton per meter cube. So there are two cases given. One is the wall is rigid. Second one, the wall is supported by an 8 meter by 4 meter footing. Okay, resting on a soil with the modulus of subgrade reaction 30,000 kilonewton per meter cube. Okay, in both the cases you have to calculate the lateral stiffness. Okay. So here the shear wall, the cross section, the plan it is given us, it's an I section. Okay, the first one, it is the dimensions of the shear wall, it is given here. It is an I section with your web thickness is around 150 mm and 400 by 400, 400 by 400, and this web height is around 3.6 meter, and the total of 4.4 meter high width shear wall. Okay, and the height of the shear wall is 14 meter. It is given us in elevation. It is given us the height of the shear wall is given us 14 meter. A point load W is acting at the top. That is the condition that is given. Okay, calculate the lateral stiffness of the wall for a point load at the top. So a point load of W is acting on at the top at the 14-meter height shear wall, and this is the plan dimensions. Okay, and the second case it is given that this wall is resting on a foundation that is 8 meter by 4 meter. It is, the elevation is like this. Okay, in a 8 meter by 4 meter, the shear wall is here. So here what we need to find out is the lateral stiffness. So in order to find the lateral stiffness, you should know what is the lateral deflection. Okay, load by deflection will give you the stiffness. So here for the first case, you can see here, for the first case, when the wall is assumed to be rigid, the total deflection is the sum of the deflection due to flexure and deflection due to shear. Okay, delta flexure plus delta shear. Whereas in the second case, when the wall is resting on a foundation with a soil, okay, it's a flexible soil, because modulus of subgrade reaction means it is resting on a flexible soil with some modulus of subgrade reaction. So that means in addition to the flexure and shear, there will be an additional deflection due to the rotation flexibility of the foundation. Okay, because of the flexibility of the foundation, there will be some deflection that will be happening along with the foundation. So that also has to be added along with flexure and shear. Okay, so that is the two cases. The first case, when the wall is rigid, that means there is no rotation that is permitted there. It is only permitted in the flexure mode and shear mode. So it is a summation of delta flexure and delta shear. The second case, when it is resting on a flexible foundation, because of the foundation rotation, there will be some minor lateral drift also will be happening. That also has to be added along with the flexure and shear. So these are the two cases. Then how do you calculate the flexure? Delta flexure. That means the deflection due to flexure. Okay. You know that if you see this diagram, it is just like a cantilever. Okay. It is resting at the bottom, the shear wall of 14-meter height. Then it is resting at a lateral load W is acting there. It is like a cantilever. You know that when this will have a deflection, this will have a deflection like as a flexure mode. So last class I was asking you, what is the deflection at the free end of a cantilever due to a point load? Can you tell me what is the deflection at the free end of a cantilever due to point load?
WL.
W?
L.
WL is the moment.
WL³ over 3EI.
Very good, very good. It is WL³ over 3EI. Okay, correct. So here your L is nothing but the height. Okay, so here you know that delta flexure is equal to WH³ by 3EI, where H is the height of the shear wall. Okay, so that is the simple. It is just whatever it's a structure, it is analogous as a cantilever. Okay, it is equivalent to a cantilever column. Okay, so similarly, so here delta flexure is equal to WH³ by 3EI. So for that you need to find the value of the moment of inertia I. Okay, so that is what the calculation I have given here for this I section. It's a symmetrical I section. For this, you need to find the value of the moment of inertia that you can find out. Okay, I just given the calculation here. You can find out the moment of inertia. So that is the I value. Okay, we just check it. Okay, my answer and all, because I have put in a question mark here. We just put a, you just find out whether it is right or wrong. Okay, I hope it is correct. Now, so this is the moment of inertia of the shear wall. Then you can find out the area of the shear wall also. Okay, you can find out the area of the shear wall. So once you know the I value, you can calculate the delta flexure as WH³ by 3EI. So you are getting an answer for in terms of W. Now delta shear. There is a formula for delta shear. You should remember this. Delta shear is equal to WH by K dash A into G, where K dash is the shape factor for a rectangular cross section. The shape factor is given as 0.8. Okay, 0.8. For different sections it is given. So that will be given to you. Now H is the height, A is the area and G is the modulus of rigidity. Modulus of rigidity. So that is E by modulus of elasticity, E by 2 into 1 plus mu. I think the E value and mu value is also given. I think I will give that. Okay, here it is missing that. I think it is given here, the E value. The modulus of elasticity is 25,000 Newton per mm square, that is MPa. The Poisson's ratio mu is given as 0.22. Okay. So the delta shear can be calculated as WH divided by K dash AG. G can be calculated. Okay. So delta shear can be calculated as W into H. H is 14 meter because everything, your E value, everything is given in Newton per mm square. So you have to convert it into millimeter. So W into 14,000 divided by K dash 0.8 into area into G value. Okay. So you are getting the delta shear. So for the first case, your total delta will be the summation of delta flexure and delta shear. Okay. So 1.292 into 10 power minus 5 plus 1.94 into 10 power minus 6. Finally, delta you will be getting 2.11 into 10 power minus 5 Wmm. So what is the stiffness? Once you know the deflection or the lateral drift, stiffness K is equal to W by delta. I'm just explaining you this because you have the notes with you. So you can do it later. Okay. Because of the time constraint, I'm just giving because I have a meeting at 9:45 today. There is a doctoral commit synopsis meeting of one of our faculty. So I am one of the member. So I'll be closing the class at 9:45 today. Okay. So that is why I'm just explaining. You please go through the material and go do this problem. Okay. And if you have any doubt, you can ask me later. So from once you get the deflection, you know what is the stiffness. Stiffness is equal to W by delta. Okay. I hope you know this. Stiffness is equal to W by delta, load by deflection. So W by delta. So you will be getting the stiffness as 47,400 kilonewton per millimeter. Okay, whatever it is, or meter. You see the unit how it is coming. It is per kilonewton per meter or millimeter accordingly. It is load by deflection. Okay. So is it clear? The first part is clear. How to calculate the stiffness of a shear wall if the wall is rigid. Is this part clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Now the second part. In the second part, it is given that the wall is resting on a foundation of 8 meter by 4 meter and it is resting on a soil of modulus of subgrade reaction of 30,000 kilonewton per meter cube. So subgrade reaction means it is just like a spring. I have drawn like this. Okay. So this is the meaning of it. It is a flexible soil. Okay. It is a flexible soil. The foundation is resting on, it is like, this is what the meaning of subgrade reaction. Okay. So subgrade reaction means the stress area acting. So that is the meaning of that. 30,000 kilonewton per meter cube. Okay. So this is the stiffness of the that soil condition. It is given here, and you have an 8 meter by 4 meter foundation is there. You have the shear wall over that. So here you can see there will be a rotation here. Is a rotation possible here because the soil is flexible. Okay, because the soil is flexible, a restoring moment, a rotation can happen. Because of that rotation, another lateral drift will happen. That has to be added along with the previous two, delta flexure and delta shear. Okay. So for that, what I can do, I can just take a small strip. I can assume a small strip here and I can find out what is the restoring moment. Okay. So here, if I take a small strip here at a distance of x from the center of the foundation. Okay. At a distance of x, if I take a small strip, if this is the rotation, it is happening. If theta is the rotation, now I can find out the restoring moment as an integration of, you can take either from 2 times 0 to 4. Okay, this is the width. Okay, this is the one side 8 meter and this is the width 4 meter. So here integration of the moment of this area about this point. Okay, so similarly each strips I can integrate from minus that is minus 8 to plus 8. Okay, this end to this end I can integrate all the values. So I can take it as minus 4 to plus 4, or you can write 2 times 0 to 4. This is the area. What is the area of this strip? Area of this strip is, this is dx. This vertical height is x theta. Isn't it? This horizontal distance is x. This is theta. So this is x theta. So x theta into dx into x will give you the moment of this area about this point. Okay, about this point. So x theta into dx into x into the modulus of subgrade reaction multiplied by the width. Multiplied by the width. Now if I have written here how this is coming, it is a moment. So K is kilonewton per meter cube. X theta into dx will give you the area, that is meter square. This is x is in meter. You have the width multiplied by meter. So finally what you are getting here, your meter cube get cancelled. Finally you will get kilonewton meter. So that is the moment. Okay, that is the moment. That means you are integrating the area of the moment from one end to the other end. That is how you are getting the moment. Okay, so once you integrate this, you take the k is a constant. K, if you take it outside, x square theta dx, x cube by 4. Finally you are getting an answer. You put the value of k as 30,000 kilonewton per meter cube. You are getting an answer 5.12 into 10 power 6 theta kilonewton meter. This is the restoring moment for that particular strip, for that particular if I take a particular area. Now once you find out this particular moment, so the rocking stiffness, that is the rotation stiffness. Okay, the rotation stiffness, the rocking stiffness, k theta is equal to m by theta. Okay, stiffness can also be represented as moment by rotation or load by deflection. Okay, it is the moment by rotation or load by deflection. So once I get the moment here, this m by theta will give me the rocking stiffness for that particular element. Okay, m by theta. Clear? So once you get the rocking stiffness, now if you take the whole structure, now if I take the whole structure here, so 14 meter height shear wall. This is the rotation theta here at the base. If okay, this theta is different from this theta. Okay, this theta is for that elemental stiffness. Elemental strip, I have taken a small strip, that is the rocking stiffness. Here, if I take the entire structure with W, that is the height of 14 meter height, if this will deflect, okay, with an angle of theta. So you need to find out what is this delta at the top because of the rocking stiffness. So what will I do? The rotation at the base theta s is equal to, this is equal to m by k theta. What is m by k theta? The moment divided by the rocking stiffness. Okay, the rocking stiffness. This is stiffness, m by k. M by k. What is this moment? The total moment that is coming at the base of the structure. I cannot draw it here because it's my PDF. Otherwise, I can take a PPT. 1 minute. So here, this is what I was telling. This is a total W. So because of this will have a deflection here. This is the delta you want. This is the rotation at the base theta s. Okay, this is the rotation at the base theta s. So this, how will I calculate this rotation? Theta s is equal to moment by the stiffness. Okay, moment by stiffness. You know that stiffness is equal to moment by rotation. Moment by rotation. So I want the rotation. So that is m by k. M by k. What is that m here? M is nothing but What is the moment at the base? W into 14. Okay. What is the moment that is coming at the base? The height. Okay. Divided by the stiffness. So this stiffness already we have calculated. So you can find out what is the rotation at the base. So once you get the rotation at the base, then what is the deflection delta?
Uh, 5.12.
Okay. No, not that delta. Delta we have to calculate now here. That delta 5.12. Wait. What we are talking now? It is 5.12 10 power 6 is the stiffness. 5.12 10 power 6 is the stiffness, isn't it? So here, so this delta is equal to, how do you calculate this delta? This delta is nothing but 14 times, because this rotation is very, very small value, isn't it? It's a very small value. This rotation, how much you're getting? How much you're getting the rotation? Say 3.83 into 10 power minus 5. Okay, it's a very, sorry, not that. This rotation is not calculated. Okay, this m by k theta, it will become a very small value. Okay, so here delta rocking is equal to 14 into theta s. Isn't it? Do you know this? How it has come? 14 into theta s. This, because this theta is a very, very small value, 14 tan theta will be this delta, isn't it? Isn't it? What is tan theta? What is tan theta?
Opposite by adjacent.
Opposite by adjacent side. Okay, delta by 14. Okay, delta by 14. So what is delta? 14 into tan theta. So because theta is a very, very small value, delta can be taken as 14 into theta. Is this clear? Is it clear now how this is delta coming here? So that is what I have written here. Once the delta rocking is equal to 14 into tan theta is, because theta is very, very small, 14 into theta. Tan theta is equivalent to theta. So you will be getting the delta rocking for the entire structure. Okay. So what I have initially done is the stiffness I have found out for an element. Then using that I have found out the rotation at the base for the entire structure. Then from there I have calculated the delta rocking. Okay, delta rocking as this. So the total deflection is equal to delta flexure plus delta shear plus delta rocking. So with that you can calculate again the stiffness, load by deflection. Load by deflection. How much it is coming around? 16,846. Okay. So when the shear wall is resting on a flexible soil, the stiffness is 16,846. But when it was a rigid, what was the stiffness? 47,400. Okay. So which is better? The stiffness is less or stiffness is more? Which is less? Which is better? Can you compare these two information? The first thing, when the wall is rigid, the stiffness is 47,000 kilonewton per millimeter or per meter. Now, when it is resting on a foundation, on a flexible soil, the stiffness has reduced. What's the meaning of that? Stiffness is reduced or increased? 16,000. So which is better? Any idea? Can you get some inference from this?
Ma'am, the stiffness increased, ma'am, in the second one.
Stiffness increases. The second one. Can you tell me this answer for this? 1 by 5.94 10 power minus 5. Because if something is. Can you just tell me the answer for this? 1 by 5.94 is how much?
And 0.005.
Into 10 power 5. Into 10 power 5. How much?
59400.
1 by 1 by 1 by. What's the answer for this? 1 by 5.94 into 10 power 5.
Ma'am,
Hmm.
16835.
16835, correct?
16835.01.
Okay, so 16835, let it be 16835. Okay, so here the stiffness is very minimum, very less. When we provide a foundation with a flexible soil subgrade reaction, the stiffness is drastically reducing, isn't it? Almost it is reducing to 1/3. This is 16836, and here it is something around 47,000. Okay, so what is the inference? Can you just tell me what is the inference between the first case and the second case? What are you getting it? What did you understand from this?
First one is increasing.
So, which is better? Just tell me, according to you, which will be better? Whether the wall, rigid wall, or the wall which is resting on a flexible soil?
Rigid wall, ma'am.
Rigid wall. So, if the stiffness is more, what is the inference of the deflection? If stiffness is more, what will happen to the deflection? It will be more or less?
Deflection will be less, ma'am.
Deflection will be less. So W, because K is equal to W by delta. Okay, if there is more stiffness, your deflection is less, or your deflection is less if you have more stiffness. So you cannot just like that say that the first one is more correct, because if the wall is very rigid, okay, if the wall is very rigid, the failure of the wall is, it is more chances of failure is there. Okay, more chances of failure is possible, because you know that it's a very strong structure. Okay, you take a very strong structure or any element. You just take a tree, just take a bigger tree. During wind, it will if you take a banyan tree, okay, if you take a banyan tree, what will happen? During wind, it will not have a sway. Okay, it will attract all the loads. Finally, there are chances of that particular structure to have a failure. At the same time, if you take a flexible grass, okay, what will happen? It will have more deflection. It will have more deflection, but it will sustain there. It will sustain there. It will not have a failure, isn't it? Can you visualize that in the sense? So similarly, if that is the wall is very rigid, then it may not have deflection, but it will attract failure. Okay, it will attract failure. But sometimes we may allow some deflection. We may allow some deflection so that the structure will remain safe there without a complete collapse. Okay, so both the cases are possible. So it should be, the structure should be flexible enough and rigid enough to take the load as well as the deflection. Is it clear? Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is one example I have just explained you how to calculate the, similarly for shear, coupled shear wall also, I have given some calculations here. Calculate the lateral stiffness of a coupled shear wall. Coupled shear wall means more than 2 shear walls connected with the beams, How to calculate all these things I have already given here. You can see a bigger formula here, because it is not that easy to do it, but I just explained you can go through this. You don't have to by heart all these things. Now I'll just quickly tell what is exactly there in your 5th unit, that is stability of tall buildings. So once you in the initial class we have learnt about the different types of design philosophies and design methodologies. 2nd unit you have learnt about the loading that is to be done in to be considered in the analysis of tall structures. In 3rd unit we have learnt about the different structural systems that are possible for high-rise structures. And in the 4th unit, different analysis methods, how the analysis has to be done, how the drift and all forces can be calculated. And with all these things, when we come to the 5th unit, it deals about the stability. So stability is more important. Okay. So stability mainly means, because stability of a tall building is very, very important. Once you do the analysis, you should know that the structure is stable against the gravity load as well as the lateral load. Okay. So here the stability and of tall buildings, there are, I'll just touch up 1 or 2 major important points in that. One is the major stability check that you have to do is, it's the 2nd order effect of gravity loading. It is called P delta effect. So P delta effect means, if we can see here, a tall structure, already this is subjected to a gravity load. Okay, this is subjected to a gravity load. In addition to the gravity load, it is also subjected to some lateral loads. So because of this, what will happen? This cantilever will have a sway. It will have a deflection. So for every story, if you take this, the first story if I take, this will be deflected delta 1. The second one, it is delta 2, delta 3. So what will happen? So you have already a gravity load. Okay, already a gravity load is there. So this gravity load multiplied by this delta, this deflection. Okay, so if I explain you, this is one of the more important stability check. You have to do it in a, so this is your cantilever structure. This is subjected to already a gravity load P. Okay, this is also subjected to some gravity loads. So because of this gravity load, this will have some reflections. So if I take every stories, if I take, so this is your delta 1 in the first one. Then if I take this, there is you can see here, there is another additional. So initially, if I take every story, if I take, so additionally it is increasing, delta 1, delta 2, delta 3, all these things. So there is a lateral deflection happening. So this gravity load along with this deflection, that P into delta, will create an additional moment at the base of the structure. Okay, P delta. Understood? This gravity load multiplied with the deflection delta that is happening due to the lateral load. Okay, it is not a bigger delta. It is not a big value. You see, we have seen delta value is a very, very, very minimum value. Okay, but in some cases, the accumulation of all these delta values from the top story to the bottom story, when it comes here at the bottom, it may have an additional moment. You must not have designed that structure for this moment, this P delta. Okay, so this is an additional moment that is coming on the structure. If at the design stage, if this effect is not considered, the building will have a chance of failure. Okay, due to heavy lateral load when it is coming. Isn't it? So this is a 2nd order effect. This is a 2nd order effect. This is an addition along with the original moment, because you must have calculated when you do the analysis, you have a moment already at the base of the structure. So along with that, there is an additional moment that is coming, that is called P delta effect. Okay, the P delta moment. It's a moment that is coming at the base of the structure because of the gravity load and the lateral load deflection. So is it understood? So this has to be taken into consideration, especially for high-rise structures when the number of stories are high, and if the lateral load is going to be a higher lateral load, then it has to be taken into consideration. Isn't it clear? So that when you do the stability check, this has to be taken into consideration. Okay, so the second order effects are, you have creep, shrinkage effects are there, because during the long time the structure will be subjected to some creep, that is a long-term deflection. There will be some shrinkage, so creep effect, shrinkage effect, all these things have to be taken into consideration. Then the material non-linearity, because we assume that, because I told you in the assumption, we are always taking that the material behaves in a linear manner, but that is not the actual one. Material will have a non-linear behavior will be there. So that if it is a major part, if it is taken, then that has to be considered, that will become a second order effect. Then the geometric non-linearity, okay, the geometry, the cross section also will have a changes. Along with the material, the cross section also will have some deviations. So it may go to the nonlinear behavior. So all these things are the second order effects that has to be considered. Okay. So here I have explained how the second order analysis, you have to do some amplification factor. Then you have to take it into consideration. Especially this will happen when it is an unsymmetrical building. When it is an unsymmetrical building, all these effects are taken to be considered when for the stability check. Then another one is the out of plumb effect. Out of plumb effect means it is nothing but the suppose you know that the axis of the column, suppose the alignment, the vertical alignment of the columns, the vertical elements have to be maintained. Suppose you know that even I have seen that in our founders block building, okay, in our college campus itself, your library building, when during the construction, we have seen there was some out of plumb effect was there. Okay, the columns were not exactly in the vertical alignment. When the first story to the second story, when it was going, there was some misalignment was there, that we have informed them and it was corrected. Okay, so that is the out of plumb effect. So that all will cause another P delta effect in the structure at the bottom of the structure. So that has to be a stability check has to be done, whether all the vertical elements are in the proper alignment. Okay, the axis should be correct, otherwise the load transfer will be different. Because of that, there is an additional moment will be coming. All this will affect the failure of the structure. Okay, then effect of foundation rotation. As I was explaining you in the shear wall case, there will be, if it is a flexible foundation, it will affect the overall stability of the building. Okay, it will reduce the lateral stiffness that you have seen already. It will reduce the lateral stiffness. Okay, if the lateral stiffness is reduced, that also is not a correct way of doing the construction. Okay, so all these things. So these are the major stability check you have to do, mainly the creep, shrinkage. Then in fourth unit again you had a portion called creep, shrinkage and temperature effect. I was telling, when a high-rise building, because your high-rise building, everything, the life of the structure is always more than 100 years, more than 50 years, 100 years. So because of the long term, the structure will be subjected to, every element can have an effect of temperature, because if there is a high temperature coming or the temperature becomes very low, the material will be affected by all this temperature effect, because of some stresses will be developed in that. Okay. So these are all some of the points that you need to remember, that when a high-rise structure is constructed, all these aspects have to be taken into consideration when you do the analysis. Okay, when you do the analysis, and there will be some differential movement because of the temperature, etc., etc. So creep and shrinkage effects and all, I have explained it here. You can just go through this, how the buckling analysis is there, because a hybrid structure will have a buckling in the sense it's an overturning. Okay, because of some overturning moment, everything can happen. So these are some of the important points that I wanted to discuss in this fifth unit also. Okay, so I just touched up all the portions that is there for you. So you please go through the material, and I will give you an overview, an idea. I'll give you a material, some materials also I will post in the group. Okay, so you can go through that. I think your examination timetable has not come till now, isn't it? Did you receive any examination timetable?
No, ma'am.
No.
No, ma'am.
Okay, hope it will come today, or you I'll inform you by today evening that when your exams are either starting on from Monday or not. Okay, because since the timetable has not come till now, I don't have any idea. As per the schedule, you are supposed to have an examination from Monday onwards. Okay, as per the academic schedule. So especially the first 3 units, everything Pakka I have explained you, and 4th unit also I have explained you. I'll give you a short material that what are all things you need to prepare for the examination. You can learn accordingly and prepare well for the examination. Okay. And meanwhile, when you learn, when you start learning, when you read, whatever doubts if you have, you can just make a note of it and you can send to me. Is that okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Because of the time constraint, we have to rush